You open the news, scroll for 11 seconds, feel something drop in your chest, and close it without reading a single full article because you already know roughly what it's going to say. Another headline about the planet, the economy, the thing everyone agreed was fine last year that quietly turned out not to be fine at all. You've made the joke, probably more than once, usually as a laugh line at the end of a conversation that got too real. Something about how none of this will matter in 50 years anyway. How we'll all be gone long before the worst of it lands. Said lightly, every time. Like saying it lightly makes the thing underneath it less true.
You've quietly stopped making certain plans. The 5-year version of yourself you used to picture has gotten harder to see lately. Not because you gave up dramatically. More like some part of you is waiting to see if there's even still a stage this will be happening on by the time you'd get there. And you've noticed it in other people. The ones who fully checked out, who talk about the future like it's someone else's problem now. The uncomfortable part isn't that you disagree with them. Some mornings you don't disagree at all. Some mornings the checked out version sounds like the only reasonable person left in the room. There is a story that starts exactly there. Not a story where hope wins in the end. Because in this one, it flatly doesn't. Every major character knows, from the beginning, exactly how and when they're going to lose everything. And they get up every day after that and keep going anyway. That part is the entire point.
The story is Ragnarok. The actual Norse end of the world, not the Marvel version, not the blockbuster. Before you picture fire and wolves and the sky splitting open, you need to hear the part that actually matters first. Because most versions skip it entirely to get to the spectacle faster. The part they skip is this. The Norse gods received the prophecy of their own destruction centuries before it arrived. They knew, in exact detail, not vague foreboding, specific, who dies, in what order, by what hand. And what they did with that knowledge is the strangest thing in any mythology I've ever encountered. Odin sought the prophecy himself. In the Völuspá, the oldest poem in the Poetic Edda, he walks to the edge of the world to raise a dead prophetess from her grave, specifically to ask her to tell him how everything ends. He didn't have to know, he chose to know. And once he knew, in full detail, he didn't spend those centuries trying to escape it. He spent every one of them building an army specifically designed to lose with him. The Einherjar, the chosen slain, warriors gathered from every battlefield, trained daily, feasted nightly, for a single battle every one of them already knew they couldn't survive. That's not a footnote. That's the whole architecture. He built something enormous on purpose with full knowledge of the outcome because the building was the point, not the winning. The day comes exactly as promised. The wolf Fenrir, chained for an age specifically to prevent this morning from ever arriving, breaks free on schedule, as told. Odin rides out in full armor at the head of everyone he spent his remaining centuries preparing for exactly this. He fights, knowing precisely how it ends for him, because the prophetess told him in detail a very long time ago. The wolf swallows him whole, exactly as described, exactly on time. And Odin's son, watching, doesn't spend a single second on grief. He doesn't have time for yet. He turns immediately and kills the wolf in the same breath, because the story clearly wasn't finished, and there was still something real left for him to do. That last detail matters more than any other part of the myth. Not because the son wins, the outcome was already written, but because he acted anyway, in the same moment, without waiting to feel ready.
Here's what the myth is actually documenting. The thing that gets called courage in simpler retellings, but is something more precise than that. Odin didn't hope things would work out. He knew for a fact they wouldn't. He wasn't brave in the sense of overcoming fear. He had nothing to overcome. The outcome was settled. What he did was something structurally different from hope, from bravery, from optimism. He separated the question of outcome from the question of whether to show up. Those two questions feel like one question. People treat them as if they're the same question. If the outcome is bad enough, then clearly the answer to whether to show up is don't bother. Odin's whole ending only makes sense once you realize he'd separated those two questions completely, years before the final morning.
He gave up on winning entirely, without drama, early. He never gave up on showing up. Most people treat hope and effort as the same lever. The moment hope runs low, the effort drops with it, without anyone even noticing the link. That's the specific mechanism the myth is describing. The moment you separate outcome from effort, the moment you genuinely stop needing the outcome to go well in order to justify the showing up, something changes. Not because the outcome improves, because you're no longer waiting for it to justify you.
This isn't just a myth about gods and wolves. It's the exact same shape as someone who keeps showing up daily for a diagnosis they already know the odds on. Someone who keeps building something they privately know may never find its audience. Someone who keeps loving a person they already sense, deep down, they're eventually going to lose. The people who keep functioning through something already decided aren't the ones still secretly hoping for a different outcome. They're the ones who already made their peace with the outcome, privately, on their own terms, earlier than anyone noticed, and simply decided to keep showing up for the part that was still genuinely theirs to do.
Here's the one question actually worth sitting with tonight. Not solving, just sitting with. Where in your own life have you quietly stopped showing up, simply because somewhere along the way you stopped believing it would work out the way you originally wanted it to? That's the question. Say it in one line below if you feel like it. What's the thing you're still deciding whether to keep showing up for, even now, knowing what you know?
Subscribing just means you won't miss whatever gets excavated next, whenever it's actually ready to go. I'll see you in the next one.